You'll do them right where you're.
Okay.
It's fine. Okay.
Okay.
So we want to end, at 6:30. They're going to go live at maybe 5 right now.
Okay.
That's going to be the challenge always. You'll read the candle lighting. I'll walk and light the candles.
So read this, or you read this?
We'll split it,
Okay.
but I'll welcome.
Okay, so you'll start?
But in a sec, yeah.
And we do them in one.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So glad that you're here joining us for our streaming services. I'm Robert Barr, and
I'm Aya Pillsbury.
we're standing here in the sanctuary of Congregation Beth Adam. We're going to be streaming our holiday services from here, but I'm going to talk about that later on. We're going to first begin with a reading.
6 days we speak. Tonight we listen. 6 days we build. Tonight we rest. 6 days we take care of others. Tonight we nurture ourselves. 6 days we work to change our world. Tonight we are renewed by what is eternal. 6 days we plan for the future. Tonight we are enveloped by the present. 6 days we eat and drink in haste.
Tonight, we savor the taste of bread and wine and feel the bond of the world that feeds us. 6 days we teach. Tonight, we learn. 6 days we hear the clamor. Tonight, we listen for clarity. 6 days we struggle to expand our influence. Tonight, we are dissolved in a greater influence. 6 days we focus our vision on the task at hand. Tonight, we look beyond what we can see. May each of us find our Sabbath peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So as I said, I'm Robert Barr and Aya Pillsbury, and we're standing here in the sanctuary of Congregation Beth Adam in Loveland, Ohio. For those of you who join us for Shabbat services before, you know that we most frequently stream our services from our studio, Studio 18 we like to call it. But in preparation for the high holidays, we've chosen to stream from up in the sanctuary. It's a way to make sure that everything's working. Any feedback you can give us, sound issues, is always very helpful. Because Congregation Beth Adam and ourjewishcommunity.org, which is our global community, has this massive reach, and technology allows us to do it. Technology, streaming technology that allows us to knit a community around the world. People can chat. Some of you may be chatting right now. We can't see the computer. We don't get to see it during the holidays, so we thought tonight we wouldn't do that. We have a whole team of people working tonight making sure this goes well. But technology is the tool, right? It's the tool that allows us to do it. Just like the microphone allows us to amplify our voices so that when we're standing here and the sanctuary is full, everyone can hear us. But it's only a tool, because really what is most important is the message. The voice of the congregation, being a bold community that gives voice to a 21st century Judaism, a Judaism that knits together science and technology, a Judaism that, I'm sorry, I got distracted.
By technology.
By technology. The phone is ringing in the background. Some of you couldn't hear it. That's one of the things that's why we're doing a lot of these things tonight, is what we can hear and what we can't hear. But technology, as I said, the phone's technology, microphones are technology, but it's the voice. What does it mean to be a 21st century Jew, a person who understands science, who has reshaped the meaning of theology, and in a sense that we as human beings have a responsibility to shape the world? That's what our Jewish community really is about, that voice. And that you're part of it, and that you're sharing, whether you're watching live right now or you're going to watch in archives, is meaningful to us. You can chat in right now, and if you have a comment afterwards, if you're watching this in archives, because we know not everybody can watch services at 6 o'clock on a Friday night, you might be watching in archives. You can always email us at rabbi@ourjewishcommunity.org. So I'm pleased that you're here. We're going to continue with our candle lighting.
On Shabbat, we light the candles. Candles bring forth light, illuminating the darkness. Candles offer warmth, providing comfort. Candles awakening us as we reach for possibilities. As we light these candles, let us use their light to stretch beyond ourselves, touching others, bettering our world. Baruch ha'or ba'olam. Blessed is the light within the world. Baruch ha'or ba'adam. Blessed is the light within the person. Baruch ha'or ba'Shabbat. Blessed is the light of the Sabbath. Oh, one went out.
Both of them went out. Try again.
Yeah.
See, this is really ancient technology. Fire, which doesn't. Okay, I don't know.
It might be the air conditioning.
Could be that, or it could be. There we go. See, it's interesting. Technology, we forget that technology evolves. When somebody invented fire or found fire and figured out how to use it, that was new technology. It changed the way we live. In fact, when we teach our children about what it means to be human, one of the conversations we have is, we read myths about light.
Yeah.
And how it changed and where light, how people began to use light and how they began to use fire. So it's new technology and we're working, so I'm glad you're here, and if we have some stumbles tonight, understand that's why we're doing it now versus on the high holidays. We figured better to test everything today. So we're in our sanctuary that is a very special place. It's unique. It really is a one-of-a-kind sanctuary that exists nowhere. That's what makes it unique, right? That's by definition of unique, yes. And I want to talk a little bit about it. There's actually a very full tour that we did, and it's posted on YouTube. But tonight I want to talk a little bit about the sanctuary. Also, so Aya gets to learn. Aya, for those of you who've been with us, know that Aya is a rabbinic student from the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, which is a very long title for a relatively small school. It has 4 campuses, but it was a merger of 2 schools. And the original school, Hebrew Union College, was here in Cincinnati. It's where Reform rabbis are trained. So Aya's working with us. She's worked over the summer. She's here for the holidays throughout the year. And you've never led services from this. Well, the first night was last week.
Yeah, last week together.
We did services here. We often use our library. But our sanctuary is very special. We're going to talk a little bit about it, some different aspects. Before the sun gets too dark, we've had I don't know where you are, but here it was pouring rain, so it's much more overcast, even though it's only 6 o'clock. Our stained glass windows are very significant. There are 12 of them. You can only see 4 when you're watching on screen because it's hard to capture the other 8 because of the way they wrap around the sanctuary. But we had this very large discussion about how do we take the language of our liturgy, the services that we read, and how do we recapture it and reshape it into art? That really is what architecture is, and art. It's taking messages and recapturing it and recalibrating it. We had 12 windows. And people began the conversation, and the architect picked 12 as we were talking because of sort of allusions to other Jewish spaces that have 12 windows and the symmetry of the look. But then we sat down and had a very long conversation, our liturgy team, the people who were working on the building, and we said, so what is reflective of this liturgy? What pictures should we do that would be emblematic and capture the spirit of a congregation where science is important, understanding our place in the world. When we were talking about Rosh Hashanah, we talked a lot about, in preparation, who am I, where am I from? So how do we capture that in art? Well, above our heads is the Big Bang, how the universe came into being. It explodes across the front of our sanctuary with the energy and power and mystery of that moment. 14.5 billion years ago, continuing to expand. We can actually hear, if you know how to do it. I can't, but scientists can, astronomers can. They can actually hear the sound of the explosion still taking place. In fact, that was how they began to understand the Big Bang. And then the stretching of it, and it explodes across the front of our sanctuary.
Why these colors?
The architect, it was interesting. We were very fortunate. We had a unique stained glass artist, a really talented man who unfortunately died several years after this project was over, a young guy named Joseph Krippenstapel. Joseph was down in Louisville, and he really embraced this project. We sat down and we began to talk to him about what we wanted. And he began to hear, he actually, before he made these, he painted 2-inch to 4-inch square windows that were exactly these windows. He captured them, and he began to say what colors. He wanted to find colors that were less than regular, colors that were not of the ordinary.
They're all tertiary colors. So on the color wheel, you have primary colors, which you would see in a children's playroom most of the time, like red, yellow, green. And then the colors you mix with them, which are also the bright, vibrant colors we're used to. And then you have the tertiary color wheel, which is just slightly different. It's all the same colors, but they have a little bit of naturalness to them. They're not so bright.
Wow, I didn't know. Okay.
And all of the colors chosen are from the tertiary color wheel.
Right,
which
and
is cool.
that's interesting. So he picked these, in fact, and it's hard to see. There's actually a little piece of glass that I happen to like that's very iridescent, and it's a very hard piece. You have to actually stand very far back and be in the right place to see it. And I said, Joseph, I want more of that. He said, unfortunately, I've used it all up. And he told me where every piece of glass came from.
Wow.
That every piece of glass had a story. Some of it's called flash glass. Actually, the glass that is like, there's some dark glass up there with white stars, blue glass with white dots, and purple glass with blue lights. Those, it's called flash glass. That's actually two pieces of glass that are fused together.
Cool.
And then he actually sandblasted the holes. So he created that and created this massive work. These are about 5 feet tall windows. They're very large. Their space is large.
Yeah.
It wraps around the sanctuary, and to our left is the colors actually begin to change, and they become the planet, the colors of our planet. Because we started to say, so the universe comes into being, and then our planet comes into being. And he wanted to capture evolution by using the colors of our Earth, the colors that we know, the greens, the blues, and the browns of the Earth. The Big Bang crosses on the other side of the sanctuary well, and you can't see that, and that's very ordered. For the simple way to think about it, has a very flankoid right structure to it. And what he was trying to do was talk about making order out of chaos. And so all of this wraps around us, and it sits us in this very specific place, that here we are in this sanctuary, wrapped by science, wrapping ourselves and reminding us that we're looking for it. And our ark, which contains the Torah, has above it the eternal light, the Ner Tamid. Right?
Yeah.
Every congregation will have a Ner Tamid, an eternal light. And ours is a bit different. It's different in that if you look very carefully at it, you can see that it has DNA, that the flame, the metal flame, is actually DNA, the double helix. Because we wanted to capture the notion of what makes human beings human beings.
Yeah.
And so we put that as part of it. What's also special about our eternal light, it is solar powered. When we built the building, it wasn't solar powered. But last year, and I spoke about it in Rosh Hashanah, and you can watch that talk if you'd like to watch it. It's still available online. And that it was about the issue, we're dealing with global climate change. And if we're going to be a responsible species, that no one is going to rescue us, that the universe isn't going to come in and save us, then we need to take responsibility. So we decided it was important that we change the Ner Tamid, the eternal light, and really make it an eternal light. So it's solar powered. I believe it is the only one in the city of Cincinnati that's solar powered. And it's an important message. We actually made a decision. If you drive when you drive in, you see the solar panel. We could have hidden it.
Yeah.
But we really wanted the solar panel to be a statement about responsibility, about taking charge and being responsible species, because we have to make sure the Earth is healthy enough that future generations inherits a planet upon which they can live. So all of these images are here. Another image that's here that you can't see unless you're actually in the sanctuary are the arches that are over.
I was about to ask about that, actually.
Were you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it reminds me of either water or a tent, because they're these white different arches, so it kind of feels like a wave that I'm under, or I could be wandering through the desert.
Those are both great stories, and if you would like to tell that and convince people that would be perfect, but that's not what they're there. What they represent is about authority. One of the value that we hold here as a modern congregation is the authority for those who stand up here, those we call the rabbis, comes from the congregation.
Totally.
It is you. Those of
They don't want to listen. Why talk?
Why talk? And our authority comes from the congregation. That people say, we value what you're saying. We want you to help educate us. We want to dialogue with you. And that's also why the Torah is moved off center. Lots of congregations, the Torah is right behind the rabbi, and it's like the voice of God comes down the eternal light into the Torah through the back of the rabbi and out the rabbi's voice. They're sort of right. I mean, that's
intense, though.
But that's the physical structure of the institution. So when you look straight on, and I remember growing up in my congregation, we were talking about this afternoon, about my rabbi, my brother was online, we were talking, and we were in a congregation where the eternal flame and the ark was about 3 stories tall. And it went way up, and then when you looked up at the rabbi, and you couldn't help but see all of it, and subliminally, it was a message about where his authority came from. And we wanted the message here to be a very different message. We wanted structurally to say the authority for our jobs, for what we do, really comes from the congregation. And that's why, these are values that are embedded in the liturgy and then structurally embedded in the building.
Is the brown, this part, have anything to do with it?
So it's interesting. So I don't know if you can see the full wall. It's, what did you call it?
I called it crenellated earlier.
Okay, crenellated, which is a word, I called it wrinkled and bumpy, but crenellated is a nice word. It actually mirrors the outside of the building. So it is a mirror opposite of the outside of the building. When we created the building, we had a lot of conversations about what did we want the physical structure to be. And the community said we want it to be modern, we want it to be airy. If you've ever come to our building, you don't actually have to turn many lights on to be able to wander around here most of the time. In fact, very frequently I don't turn the lights on and I turn them off very quickly because I don't really need them. So we wanted it airy, we wanted it modern, but we wanted it solid and a presence. And if you walk out in the front of the sanctuary, it's sandstone. And it has this similar look, this angulated or undulating look. And for some people who come by, they say, oh, it has a reminiscence of the Middle East, maybe the temple of old. It's substantial, it's solid, yet modern simultaneously. And so this architect was able to bring together these different qualities that we wanted into the building itself.
Cool.
And that I think is really valuable to us because, here at Congregation Beth Adam and ourjewishcommunity.org, we try to give voice to our values. We try to capture
In fact, that's the whole point for existing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And our singular sort of mantra, if we have a mantra, is that we should say what we mean and mean what we say. Yep. Too many people say words they don't mean. They say, well, we'll just reinterpret it all. Here we say, let's be clear about it. And then we wanted to do the same thing with the physical space. We wanted the physical space to say the same message. And we talk about some of the things that I talked about. I sometimes talk about at a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah. We also talk about the heritage of our Torah, which is a Holocaust Torah. It's about 160, 180 years old, no one's really sure, from Czechoslovakia. So we wanted the space to be as evocative and informative as the liturgy. And that was the dynamic, and I think when people come here, they're always struck by it. I mean, I watch people, it's interesting, sitting on the bimbo, you get to watch people watch you and admire the space.
And I think that's also an important thing to remember for all of us who are in different places right now, that there are lots of things each of us can do to our spaces to make them feel more of the way we want them to feel. And sometimes it doesn't take much. Like I had no idea that these curves were about authority or other things. And so sometimes it's just about making a choice that I'm going to make this space sacred because this is going to symbolize what I want it to be.
Right, sure, absolutely. And you can do that differently, and that's the nice part of being in lots of different communities. We bring together lots of different feelings, lots of different flavors.
Yeah.
And then this place becomes our home, our community, our place that we celebrate together, we mourn together, we observe together, we pause together, we gather to give voice to who we are. And that's why it's so exciting that we're able to do the services here and share this space. I always am thrilled when people come to Congregation Beth Adam for the first time and they walk in and they look around Because they don't know exactly how would a congregation with this modern voice look.
Yeah.
Right? They don't
Yeah.
know, and they're oftentimes struck by how inspiring it is. I've actually had people ask me after a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah if they were allowed to sit in here, and just because they found it very contemplative and very restful and spiritual. People have used that word. People have said religious.
So what do they say when they say that? What do you think they mean?
I think they find it in many ways, I think it's awe-inspiring, because when you really think about the expanse of the universe,
Whoa.
and you pause to think about how large it is and our place in it, it is a powerful and awesome thought. And
Yeah.
I think people begin to look at the windows. And it's interesting, people, well, oftentimes they don't know, they'll guess. And oftentimes they get right. They'll begin to go, they don't get the other windows necessarily. The Big Bang, they begin to really understand it. And I think it speaks to them because it's reminding them that here in this place, when they think about what it means to be a human being and what it thinks about being Jewish, they also go, well, here's a place that tells me about that I'm part of science and part of nature. And it has great meaning. So we're excited that we're going to be celebrating services here in about 10 days.
Yep.
We're almost ready, I think. We're getting ready. We're close.
Pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting. And we hope you'll share the high holidays with us in this space. We're going to be streaming here from next week as well. So that's a grand tour of this space. If you want to learn more, there's a YouTube video called, I think, The Tour of Congregation Beth Adam. So we're going to continue now with a reading. Tonight is our memorial service, so we're going to continue with our memorial reading. The cycle of life unfolds. Just as we rejoice in new life, we mourn its final ending, the inevitable death of those whose lives have touched ours. Tonight, we join voices with others as we say aloud the words which help us to recall those we've lost. We remember the moments we have shared, the laughter and the tears, the beauty and the pain. Inevitably, as our lives intertwined, as we have touched one another, we have been influenced, changed, enriched by their presence, and so, as we mourn their loss, we celebrate their life. Thus, the cycle continues, their lives forever marking the continued unfolding of our own. We pause at this time to reflect upon those who are no longer among us. This moment of remembrance links life to life and generation to generation.
And on this Shabbat, we especially remember Linda Forster, Frank Agnello, Miriam Joseph, Joseph Tavares, Alejandro Garcia Morera, Lisa May, Ruth Lassman, Rothstein Lassman Bradshaw, Bella Lassman, and any other names you hold in your hearts.
We think, too, of those who've died as a result of violence and terror that mars our world. Those who die as a result of indifference and cruelty. Those who've died defending the principles of peace, justice, and democracy throughout the world. We think, too, of those who have no one to remember them this night. We think of all of our loved ones whom death has who no longer walk among us. Ein b'dei hamavet hakoach la'akor ma shetapun b'lev. Death cannot take that which is locked in our hearts.
With our tears and our sorrow, we remember. With our courage and our strength, we do not forget. Acts of kindness, deeds of courage will remain. Beauty created, wisdom shared is not lost. With our tears in our sorrow, we remember.
Im dama'ot be'einenu, be'et evlenu, nishmor al zecher achuvenu. With our tears in our sorrow, we remember.
Zecher Sadik Livracha, may the memory of good people bless our days.
Let the Sabbath be a time for believing in what could be and seeing with new eyes. In the serious world, let us take ourselves less seriously. In these harsh times, let us listen for a soothing word. While the world around us unfolds in an instant, let us judge each other a little more slowly. Let the Sabbath shine a light into a corner of ourselves where hope is renewed. Let us remember a reason to be joyful and a way to be gentle. Let the Sabbath be a time for opening up. Let us find strength in our dreams and trust in our strength. And we're going to continue with our challah reading. If you have some challah or bread, join with us. I'll hold it up. I don't know if you...
In Jewish tradition, we share the challah as we celebrate Shabbat. We are reminded that challah, a twisted loaf of bread, sustains and nurtures the life of our bodies. May the sharing of this challah sustain and nurture our hunger for knowledge and our understanding of the world around us. May the sharing of the challah sustain and nurture our connection to those close by and those separated by distance and by time. May the sharing of this challah encourage us to reach out to those across our rooms, across our hallways, to those across our desks and across the miles. May the sharing of the challah strengthen and enrich our coming week. Baruch Amal Kapeinu, blessed is the work of our hands. Baruch Hazon Ha'adam, blessed is the vision of our minds. Baruch Lechem Haaretz, blessed is the bread of the earth.
Wonderful. And then we're going to continue with some wine or some juice, depending on what you have. Like that. We lift the cup. In Shabbat, it's customary to share wine or juice with family and with friends and community. It reminds us that it's not enough for us to quench our physical thirst. We must nourish our spirit as well. As we celebrate Shabbat, may this wine or this juice remind us to live our lives to the fullest and to embrace the joys and pleasures that life offers. Bruchim ha'chayim ba'olam, blessed is the life within the world. Bruchim ha'chayim ba'adam, blessed is the life within each person. Say, l'chaim.
L'chaim.
To life. So, our service is about to draw to a close, and as is customary in almost every Jewish institution in the world, there must be announcements. One cannot end anything without announcements. Several announcements. Some of them you've probably heard if you've been here before, and if you haven't, you get to hear them. If you heard them once, you're going to hear them again, and if you haven't, listen up. So go to CincinnatiOJC.org. CincinnatiOJC.org, or if you're already on ourjewishcommunity.org, you can go to OJC in Cincinnati, and there you'll find materials about Rosh Hashanah. We have a new video for adults, a video that I have made about our resource guide, and a wonderful resource guide for children. As I said in the past, we hope you like those things, you share those things with others, so that they know what we're doing. You are really help us to connect people who didn't know that there was a place like this. So please feel free to look at those things at CincinnatiOJC.org, or go to, if you're already on ourjewishcommunity.org, just click the link that says OJC in Cincinnati. Next Friday night, Rabbi Laura Baum, who many of you know, who's been part of OJC since its inception, will be returning. She no longer lives in Cincinnati, but she's coming in for Rosh Hashanah. She's been joining Aya and I for Rosh Hashanah, and she will also be participating in our Friday night service next Friday night. So for those of you who wonder where she is, there'll be a chance we'll be in here. We'll chat together, and we'll be together. So that's next week. Somebody asked me the question about Yom Kippur memorial pictures. We're going to be doing our memorial service on Yom Kippur as we've done for the last several years. If you want to have a picture included in that special service, you need to email it to us by the Monday. I just forgot what day it was. I had it written down. September 14th, which is September 14th, which is the day of Rosh Hashanah. If you could email it to us with the person's name, we will then be able to include it in our memorial video. And then, as always, take a look at what we're doing. Our Facebook has become quite active. There's a lot of new posts on there, both bits of liturgy from our congregation, stories, podcasts, blogs. So you can always participate in that. Take a look at what we're doing and be a part of this wonderful community. We're delighted you're here. We're delighted you shared this first service streaming up here and appreciate that you helped us get through some of the bumps and stumbles of trying something new. And we want to close with our words that we use all the time. May we know blessings those who are near, and may we know blessings those who are far. And may the Sabbath bring its goodness to everyone soon, wherever they are. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.